Good evening, everybody. My name is Cameron Gutierrez, and I will be presenting my Module 11 case study to you today. So, going right on in. Section 1, summarize the case, establish the facts. So, basically, the case is focusing on a dilemma that Mr. Rhodes, a new principal at Golden Oak High School, is being tasked with, and that is improving attendance numbers, basically, or decreasing absences among students. This task was given to him by the district superintendent, Dr. Newman, um, and basically 85% of the student body has missed 10 or more days in the last year. This is a decrease in performance that they've seen over time to get to this point. In years past, they've seen the decrease, but it's never been this bad. And basically, it led them to this where they need to take some kind of action because this has never really been a problem in the past. So the case focuses on Mr. Rhodes along with 5 students who he selects who seem to be, I guess, abnormal um, cases of absentism. And so that is Karen, Tyrone, Carl, John, and oh gosh, Christina, sorry. Um, so starting with Karen, the first one who was introduced to us, this was a student who was previously high performing in recent years. She's a junior this year. And what they've noted about her is that she's missed on several different occasions on either a Monday or Friday or both throughout the entire first semester, kind of just at random to the point where it has gone and grown excessive. And something that they noted about her was that she was married when she was younger. She was married earlier in the semester. Um, so that could be a possible cause of her absence. And then we go on to Tyrone, who has missed a considerable amount of time, primarily through parentally excused absences. They were deemed educational experiences by the parent and included a trip to Canada and a trip to Washington, D.C., where they were supposed to be going to museums, etc., etc. Tyrone has been in the past another high performing student whose work has suffered due to his truancy. And despite his absences being related to educational experiences, they've seen no performance increases in his academics. Then we go on to Christina, who seems to miss at least 4 days in a row several times throughout the semester. Oh, I'm sorry, 3 different times throughout this semester. And this was for a religious reason. However, it wasn't specified what the reason exactly was, aside from a meeting, and the dates and times were not specified as well. Carl is a student who is regularly truant in his vocational classes that take place in the afternoon. So these classes are basically, or he's transported to these classes. However, he's not showing up. When the truant officer asked his parents and confronted them about it, they basically reported that they don't see a need for him to be there, and that if he wants to, he can drop out of school and continue along working with his dad at the place where he works. Then we have John, our final student. John is the starting football quarterback for Golden Oak High School, which, as we'll discuss later on, is known for their football team, and they have a large community backing their football team. Early in the season, he was injured and was forced to miss the first 2 games. However, he's been going to PT and he can continue to play throughout the season, or if he continues to go to PT on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the afternoon. So he misses his Tuesday and Thursday afternoon classes, and that's supposed to continue throughout the semester. Along with that, on game days, which are Fridays, the athletic director has suggested that he also take that afternoon off in order to rest for the game to perform in peak condition. So that's basically where we're at with that. Moving on, we'll talk about the legal and ethical issues. So there are primarily a lot of ethical issues, could get into some legal issues with all of these cases. Ethically speaking, Karen, who is a sorry, uh, Karen, who is a junior again and was married in the August of her junior year, um, could be could be considered a bit of an ethical dilemma given that she's so young, and typically in modern times that's considered too young to be married, I guess, especially if it's causing detrimental or if it's having detrimental effects to her education. Going on to Tyrone, he's missed on several occasions. Supposedly it's been educational, and yet it didn't seem to be educational. He wasn't doing well in school. Um, Again, that kind of calls into question the ethicality of his parents' decision, whether or not they're actually doing this for his benefit or if it's just it is what it is. Uh, Going on, we have Christina. This can't really be called into question as far as ethicality goes, given that it is based on religious reasons. At least her absences are. However, I do feel that there might need to be some more specification as to what exactly she's missing for, as well as, yeah. Carl is our student who kind of brings the legal side into it. Um, Basically, not only is this an ethical dilemma, as in his parents are not looking out for the well-being of their child, Carl. This is also a legal issue, which has been addressed in the 1944 Supreme Court case of Prince versus State of Massachusetts. And in this case, basically, it was deemed that a parent or guardian can be held responsible for academic delinquency, because that is not looking out at the best interest of the student. And as such, the state can actually act as a parental figure to all students, all children and adults of their state, and act on that, um, causing legal issues for Tyrone in the juvenile court system as well as his parents. Then we have John, who, again, this is a bit of a gray area because while he is missing for a medical reason, which is a legitimate excuse according to both the school policy and the state policy, he would not have to do this if he were to stop playing football for the remainder of this semester. However, even getting past that, the athletic director's recommendation that he should, in fact, take Friday afternoons off to further rest up for the game is simply just putting the game and his athletic performance above his educational performance, which is certainly not the best idea given that statistically speaking, a decent education and him doing well in school is more than likely to lead to gainful employment in his future than an athletic career will. So basically, to sum it all up in one sentence, I'm going to read directly from the slide on this one, but to put it into one sentence, a new high school principal is tasked by the district superintendent to identify and address the school's declining attendance performance, prompting the principal to examine the underlying causes of absence for 5 students considered to be abnormal offenders of the school's absence policy. All right. So, taking a look at the people that are involved in the case, the place, and the program. So first off, the people. We have Mr. Rhodes, who again was the high school principal, Dr. Newman, who was the district superintendent, and then we have various unnamed people included in this, and that includes the truant officer, the athletics director, and various teachers were also cited in the case study. Then we finally have our delinquent students, who the case focuses on, which are Karen, Tyrone, Christina, Carl, and John. The place is Golden Oaks High School. So a little bit about the place. Again, the dominant sport at Golden Oaks High School is football, and this is largely backed by the local community. They have a rivalry with another school, just kind of an all around big deal there. Uh, Along with football and other sports, they have a variety of clubs that the students are able to attend to, 31 specifically. Um, so there are lots of just school sponsored, school sanctioned activities for the students to participate in. Uh, as for the socioeconomic status of the community that the school resides in, primarily it looks to be a middle socioeconomic status. There are some high and there are some low, but the vast majority of the parents and families are right there in the middle of the socioeconomic status ladder. And then recently, it's gotten more diverse in this community. In the past, diversity was not as much there. This was primarily due to a large influx in Hispanic and Asians moving into the community over recent years. And then the majority of parental figures either work in local industries for this community or are small business owners within the community. So the program this is a high school. It's grades 9 through 12. Um, they appear to have high retention rates with an average experience level of 10 years or more. Typically, they don't hire very many new teachers, 1 to 2 teachers a year. So the staff obviously appreciates whatever the school is doing. And then the school policy on absences will be basically directly in line with the state law. So you can only miss for basically pre-approved excuses from the principal, illnesses, death of family members, etc., etc. And then they've also seen, again, declining attendance. 85% of the overall student body has missed 10 days or more throughout the semester. All right, so review and prioritize the information. So the main, I guess, issue within the case is the decline of attendance across the entire student body. This does affect school, like all school stakeholders. This affects parents, students, staff at the school level as well as the district level. Um, Basically, it's been proven that attendance directly correlates with academic performance, and so lower attendance also means lower academic performance. As such, this continuation of absences and absenteeism can overall cause a decline in the state of the community, given that low academic performance also has shown to yield low or non-contributing members of society, and which creates an even worse cycle of basically just producing more and more non-contributing or low-contributing members of society, unfortunately. This can also affect the state funding as well as the funding allowed by various grants and sponsorships from private industries or private companies. Yeah, and again, state funding can also be affected, given that in several states, whether or not this is a state where, or Golden Oak High School is in a state where this is the case, in several states, it actually is basically, or I'm sorry, the student or state funding is based directly on academic or attendance figures, basically. Um, so let's see. All right, so to continue, because I ran out of time on the last one, our next step is basically to look at what we can do. What are our options? So, really, I mean, we have quite a few amount of, or like a lot of options, but we'll take a look at three. The first option, of course, is to simply do nothing. And this is the easiest option. It requires the least amount of funding, which is zero because we're doing nothing. However, this is probably one of the least effective options because um, unfortunately, it's already been trending downward, and it's likely that it will continue to trend downward instead of bouncing back up if we do not intervene in some sort of way. So, bearing that in mind, we'll move on to the next option, which is a little more involved and requires a lot more effort, and that would basically be to take the current enforcement plan and throw it away and come up with something entirely new. Something that we can research maybe a little bit more and try to find something that's a little more effective. So this would involve basically all community stakeholder or school stakeholders within the school and outside the school. So students, parents, teachers, administration staff, district office staff, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to involve everyone. And basically, we just need to figure out something else that we can do, hopefully, to improve these numbers. And then the final and third option is to basically just take what we already have and push it a lot further into the strict territory. This could potentially work. However, I mean, for reasons we'll get into a little bit later, it's might not be the best option. This is similar to the second option in basically reforming the current enforcement plan. However, this one will basically give a lot less leniency and would like absences get to a certain point. This is referred directly to the truant office as well as the juvenile court system, et cetera, et cetera. So going a little deeper into the options, of course, like I said, the first option will likely not do anything. It'll do it no good. It probably is not going to bring it back. It might make it worse if it continues on the downward trend that it's already been on. So moving on. The second option, of course, again, this is going to require the most effort. However, this might yield the most desirable results of the three options. And this would, I feel like, make people feel a lot better about the enforcement policy that is utilized within the school for attendance, given that it will include all stakeholders. There would also have to be some correlation with the police or any whatever local authority it is that you are referring excessively truant students to. Similar to the third option, however, there would be some leniency involved, be more understanding, and basically just kind of focus on educating all the stakeholders on why they do need to attend school and kind of go from there. Something else that might be utilized within this option is a incentive program that causes students to want to actually attend school for whatever reason that might be. And then our third option, again, this is similar to the second option. However, this is going to be introduced with a lot less leniency. This is kind of going to be a little bit too harsh. Given that if a truant student who otherwise is a good kid is going to get sent into the juvenile court system and be dealt with there, it's just going to put an overall bad look on the school as far as from the student's point of view as well as the parents. This could actually make problems worse. It could increase dropout rates depending on where the school resides. Again, at a certain point, they might be eligible to opt to not go to school, which is obviously not what we want. So as such, this kind of needs to be treaded on lightly. So choosing an option, of course, we're going to go with the second option. It simply makes the most sense. And that is going to be to basically take what we already have as far as enforcement. We can use that to kind of give us a rough guide, but it's clearly not working for whatever reason in recent years. So what would be optimal is to potentially look to other districts or schools within the district, possibly even other districts within the area that have similarly set up high schools as well as similar socioeconomic statuses, etc., all that. The community is basically similar enough to compare them to, and look at their attendance enforcement protocol and basically kind of build off of that. So those are just kind of some options. Um, Again, this would have a lot more effort involved as far as educating everyone within the community why this is important. You would have to meet with teachers and school administration staff to discuss absence reporting and what is considered to be an excusable absence. All right, so implementing our option. Basically, the first step is going to be discuss the district policy with administration staff, teaching staff, and district office staff. Take a look at what you already have, see if there's anything usable, and basically get approval to design, implement, and test a new protocol. So from there, I think what would be this would be best done in some sort of forum setting. Uh, Again, with the teachers as well. So this could be done at an in-service or something along those lines. Discuss how they should be reporting attendance, what should be considered excusable, etc., because in some cases, such as Tyrone's cases, the teachers were totally fine with him being gone because of his quote unquote educational experiences that he was having instead of being in class. And then from there, we kind of have to build a plan that is submitted throughout the community. So this is to students as well as to parents. And it's going to be best to basically have the input of the parents and of the students, because without that input, they basically are just going to feel like you're forcing changes upon them. Rather, if you take what they say and kind of look at it a little bit and be like, okay, yeah, we'll take that into consideration, and basically just use their ideas as well. Overall, it's going to be a lot more, there's going to be a higher likelihood that the new enforcement plan actually succeeds if the students and parents have a hand in what it is that's actually happening. And then again, there will also need to be some sort of incentive program that is created. This will be done in one of the early steps of the plan making, I guess, protocol making. So this could be a reward for students who are continually absent or continually attending school and don't have an excessive amount of absences, and just, I mean, whether that be some kind of party. I mean, at this level, it's kind of difficult what to say will be a proper incentive for them. And then from there, it will also need to be discussed how we will deal with students who are regularly delinquent for unexcusable reasons, basically. There's going to have to be some coordination with local authorities and discussion of juvenile court system, or discussions with the juvenile court system to decide how they'll deal with these, and at what point exactly do they refer them to this? How much leniency do they give? And this is, again, something that needs to be discussed with the parents and students. Otherwise, it's possible it does not succeed. And so basically that kind of brings us to the end. Again, if this reform doesn't really work, then you have to go back and explore further options. I mean, there's no other options really aside from that. Realistically, the best course of action is to take what we've done, look at what worked, look at what didn't work, go back, make amendments, and re-implement the policy. Thank you.